Hi, everyone, and welcome back to Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
Hey guys, we're really happy you're here with us today.
I hope your day is going well so far.
And today, we're talking about a topic that sounds exciting, but can also become very heavy if we think about it in the wrong way,
Yes, today we're talking about becoming a better version of yourself.
which is a very popular idea now.
Definitely.
You hear it everywhere. Social media, podcasts, books, videos, all of it.
Yes. Improve yourself. Change your habits. Grow, heal, become better, become stronger, become more disciplined.
Exactly.
And some of that can be really helpful.
Definitely.
But sometimes the whole idea can also become too intense.
That's such a good point.
So, maybe we should start with a simple question. What does becoming a better version of yourself mean to you?
For me, it means growing in a way that feels real, not fake.
I love that.
I mean it.
What does real growth mean for you?
It means becoming a little healthier, calmer, wiser, and more honest over time.
That's beautiful.
Thank you.
For me, becoming a better version of yourself means staying connected to who you really are, while slowly improving the parts of life that need care.
Wow, that's such a good answer.
Thank you.
I like that you said care.
Yes, that word matters a lot to me.
Why?
Because I think growth becomes unhealthy when it stops feeling like care and starts feeling like punishment.
That is such an important point.
I really believe that.
Me too.
I think many people hear better version of yourself and imagine someone perfect.
Yes, more productive, more attractive, more successful, more disciplined, more confident, more everything.
Exactly.
And then, self-improvement starts feeling like a race.
Yes, a race with no finish line.
That's very true.
What do you think is the good side of self-improvement?
I think the good side is hope.
That's interesting.
I mean the idea that life can become better,
Yes.
that your habits can improve, your mind can become calmer, your relationships can become healthier, your choices can become wiser.
I love that.
I think growth is beautiful when it feels human.
Definitely.
What about you? What do you think is the good side?
I think the good side is self-respect.
Say more.
I think trying to grow can be a form of respect for your life.
Wow, yes.
Like saying, I matter enough to take care of myself better.
That's such a strong sentence.
Thank you.
It really changes the feeling of the topic.
I think so too.
Because then growth is not about proving something.
Exactly.
It's about supporting your life more honestly.
Yes,
I also think growth can be quiet.
definitely.
Not every better version of yourself needs to look dramatic.
I completely agree.
Sometimes becoming better just means sleeping earlier.
Yes.
Or using your phone less.
Or saying no more clearly.
Or eating more simply.
Or being kinder to yourself.
Exactly.
I think people often miss that part.
Which part?
That the better version is often built through very small repeated choices,
That's such a good point.
not one giant transformation.
No, usually not.
So, what do you think makes self-improvement unhealthy?
Pressure.
Same.
Too much pressure changes the whole thing.
Definitely.
If growth starts feeling like constant self-criticism, then something is wrong.
Yes, I think some people are trying to improve themselves from a place of dislike.
Wow, yes,
Like, I am not enough, so I must fix everything.
that's a very painful kind of motivation.
It really is.
I think growth works better from respect than from self-hate.
That is such an important sentence. I also think comparison makes self-improvement unhealthy very fast.
Definitely.
The moment you start trying to become better because you feel behind everyone else, the energy changes.
Exactly.
It stops feeling personal and starts feeling performative.
That's a really good word.
Thank you.
I think many people are not asking, what kind of life fits me?
Right.
They are asking, what kind of life looks impressive?
That's so true.
And that creates a lot of fake goals.
Definitely. I think a better version of yourself should still feel like you.
I love that.
Not like a stranger with good habits.
That's such a good line.
Thank you.
I really agree though.
If the new version of you has no softness, no humor, no peace, and no real personality, then what is the point?
Exactly. I think one big problem with self-improvement culture is that it can become too aggressive.
Yes, that's a very good point.
Everything becomes optimization.
More routines, more habits, more tracking, more pressure, more control.
Exactly.
And after a while, life stops feeling alive.
That's very true.
It starts feeling like a project instead of a life.
Wow. Yes,
I think structure is good.
definitely.
Habits are good. Growth is good. Discipline can be good.
Yes.
But not when they remove all gentleness from life.
That's such an important balance.
I think so too.
Do you think people can improve too many things at once?
Absolutely.
Same.
I think that's one of the most common mistakes.
Yes. Suddenly, people want to sleep perfectly, eat perfectly, work perfectly,
Exercise perfectly, think perfectly, and fix their whole life in 2 weeks. Exactly.
That sounds good in theory.
And impossible in real life.
Very impossible.
I think real growth needs focus.
That makes a lot of sense.
You choose one area, or maybe one small habit, and you give it real attention.
Yes, instead of attacking your whole life at once.
Exactly.
I've noticed that when I try to improve too many things, I end up feeling worse.
Why?
Because everything becomes a reminder of what I'm not doing well enough.
That's very real.
Then growth turns into pressure, and pressure kills consistency.
That is such a good point. I also think the idea of better needs honesty.
What do you mean?
I mean better for who?
Ah, that's a very good question.
Better according to social media.
Right.
Better according to other people.
Or better according to your real life, your values, and your energy.
Exactly.
I think many people build a better version of themselves that does not actually fit them.
Yes, they copy someone else's system,
Someone else's morning routine,
someone else's body goals,
someone else's lifestyle.
someone else's personality even.
That's so true.
But growth becomes much healthier when it becomes more personal.
I completely agree. For me, becoming better has become more about becoming steadier.
I love that.
Not more dramatic, not more impressive, just steadier.
That sounds very healthy.
I think so too.
For me, becoming better means becoming more honest.
In what way?
More honest about what I need, what drains me, what matters to me, what kind of life actually feels good.
That's beautiful.
I think growth without honesty becomes performance.
Yes, that's such a strong point.
And performance is exhausting.
Definitely. Do you think rest is part of becoming better?
Absolutely.
Good.
Why good?
Because some people talk about growth like rest is a distraction.
Yes, and that's such a harmful idea.
I agree.
I think rest is part of becoming better because exhausted people usually don't grow in a healthy way.
Exactly.
They just push harder.
And that often leads to burnout, not growth.
Definitely. I think one sign of healthy self-improvement is that your life still feels like life.
Wow. Yes.
Not only plans, systems, goals, routines, and pressure.
That's such an important point.
There should still be room for laughter, softness, friends, rest, normal days, small pleasures.
Yes. Otherwise, what are you improving for?
Exactly.
I think one of the healthiest questions is, does this version of growth make me more alive or less alive?
I love that question. By the way, if you enjoy listening to Simple English with us, don't forget to subscribe to Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
And if you think this episode can help a friend with English, feel free to share it with them.
We'd really appreciate that.
Okay, let's keep going.
Let's talk about mistakes.
Good idea.
Because I think one reason people stop trying to grow is that they expect themselves to do everything perfectly.
Definitely.
One bad day happens, and suddenly they feel like the whole process is ruined.
That's so relatable.
But I think a better version of yourself still has bad days,
Absolutely.
still gets tired,
Still makes mistakes.
still loses motivation sometimes.
Yes, that's normal.
I think the difference is not perfection.
What is it then?
It's the ability to come back.
That is such a good answer.
I really believe that.
Me too. I think real growth is not about never falling off.
Exactly.
It's about returning without turning one bad day into a full identity crisis.
That's so true. I also think a better version of yourself is usually calmer.
That's interesting.
I don't mean passive.
Right.
I mean less controlled by every feeling, every phone notification, every opinion, every small stress.
That makes a lot of sense.
More rooted.
More stable.
Yes, more able to pause.
I really like that. I think one underrated form of growth is emotional maturity.
Definitely.
Less reacting.
More understanding.
Less drama.
More honesty.
Less blaming.
More responsibility.
Exactly.
And I think that kind of growth is not always visible from the outside.
No. But it changes life deeply.
Definitely.
Do you think becoming better should feel hard?
Sometimes, yes.
Same.
Change can be uncomfortable.
Definitely.
New habits can feel strange.
Boundaries can feel hard.
Facing yourself can feel hard too.
Yes. But I don't think it should feel violent.
I completely agree.
Hard is okay.
Harmful is not.
That is such a good distinction.
Thank you. I think people often admire very extreme change.
Yes. Big transformations look exciting.
But I think quieter change is often more stable.
Definitely.
Going to bed a little earlier.
Using your phone less.
Being more honest.
Spending money more carefully.
Protecting your peace.
Saying no more clearly.
Exactly.
Those things may not look dramatic from the outside, but they change daily life in a deep way.
I really agree.
I also think a better version of yourself is not always someone who does more.
That's such a good point.
Sometimes it's someone who knows when to stop.
Yes.
Someone who rests earlier.
Someone who says no sooner.
Someone who leaves the wrong situation faster.
Someone who stops chasing impossible standards.
Exactly.
I think that's a very mature form of growth.
Me too.
Let's talk about identity for a moment.
Okay.
I think many people say, I want to become a better version of myself, but they secretly mean, I want to become someone else.
Wow. Yes.
And that is such a painful trap.
Definitely.
Because then you are not building yourself.
You are rejecting yourself.
Exactly.
I think growth should still include acceptance,
Absolutely.
not passive acceptance,
No.
but enough acceptance that you are not constantly fighting your own nature.
That's beautiful. I think the best growth happens when you work with yourself, not against yourself.
That is such a strong sentence.
Thank you.
I really believe that, though.
Me too.
So if someone listening says, I want to become a better version of myself, where should they start?
I would say start with honesty, not pressure.
That's a great answer.
Ask yourself, what really needs care right now?
I love that.
Not what looks impressive, not what other people are doing. What actually needs care in your real life?
That's so good.
Maybe it's sleep.
Maybe it's your phone habits.
Maybe it's your self-talk.
Maybe it's boundaries.
Maybe it's rest.
Exactly.
What would you say?
I would say, pick one thing and make it smaller than your ego wants.
That is such a Michael answer,
I know.
but it's a very good one.
I think small is powerful.
Definitely.
If the plan is too big, it often becomes performance.
Yes. But if it's small, it can become real.
Exactly.
I would also say this. A better version of yourself should still feel like someone you want to be with.
Wow. I love that.
I really mean it.
That might be one of the best lines of this episode.
Thank you.
Because if the future version of you feels cold, stressed, rigid, or joyless, then what are you building?
Exactly.
So, what is one thing you want to improve in a healthier way right now?
I want calmer evenings and less pressure around doing everything perfectly.
That sounds very good.
What about you?
I want to become more consistent in simple things without turning it into a huge life performance.
That sounds very you,
I know.
and I support it.
Thank you.
So maybe the message of this episode is simple.
Becoming better is not about becoming perfect.
It's about becoming more honest, more steady, and more kind.
It's about building a life that feels more supportive, not more performative.
And real growth usually happens slowly.
Through small choices, repeated with care.
Exactly.
So that was our conversation about becoming a better version of yourself.
Thanks for spending this time with us on Easy English Podcast with Emily and Michael.
If you enjoyed this episode, subscribe to the channel and share it with a friend who is learning English too.
We'd really appreciate that.
And we'll see you in the next episode.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.